My name is Mighty Beard, and we are back for another session of DM Prep. This is for our homebrew campaign of Agents of Beard. It's a West Marches style campaign where we've got a few different groups in a few different areas. It's not truly West Marches. It was initially supposed to be, but then everyone kind of spread out and went to different areas. I guess that was my fault of not having a central hub, but instead allowed everyone to kind of pick and choose where they started from. Regardless, though, we're heading into session number 19, and this is with our group from the Alphacraft Minecraft SMP. So we have Calgrim, played by the gamer Hobbit, Vels, played by Indatorius, and Wisp, played by Aletha Prime. There's a video. I'll link it for the story so far, so you can see where we were at the time that I recorded that. Since then, though, this party has gone from Whitmore, which is our western our western city, our region, and spent some time in Hovestad, and they are in the process of heading back into Whitmore. So they are escorting a caravan. Currently they are in Golden Grove, and their assignment right now as members of the Adventurers Guild is to escort the newly selected mayor of Crystal Head, which is a future hamlet. Right now it's just kind of an encampment. Some scouts found deposits of crystal in the river, and so they set up an encampment to basically start mining and start studying those crystals. So but because of our government style, it's kind of like a republic, basically. And so every settlement has a mayor, has some kind of leader. So we went with the mayor terminology, and they are escorting that mayor to his new home. And this is the second time. This is the second time that they've selected a mayor. The first time the mayor got he was murdered. He was murdered by a shifter, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but we've got some gangs that are in Hovestad, which is our capital, as well as across our continent. But the mission that we have for this, their job is to escort the mayor along with this caravan to Whitmore to handle some paperwork before he heads down. However, because there was a previous mayor that was selected and was murdered, it's more of a bigger deal. So and because it's coming out of Hovestad, the Senate wants to make sure a few things. So wants to make sure that this dude is safe, but at the same time is aware, because you can't hide you can't hide this type of movement as it currently stands. So instead, what they have done is, because they're assuming that shifters are going to be present on the caravan. They're assuming that members of the Red Knives, which is that gang, is on the caravan. They want this particular party to observe and collect information about what's going on with the members of the caravan, to see if they can figure out if there's a threat. Because right now there's no motivation that has been pinpointed on why the shifter chose West Chardon, who was the initial mayor. Was it so that the shifters could be put into power in Crystal Head? Is there something with those crystals that they want to get their hands on it, or is something else involved? So they're looking to try and get some kind of motivation, and if they can, if it is verified that a shifter is following the caravan or with the caravan to head to Crystal Head, hopefully capture it and interrogate it. Just find out whatever that motivation is. But this party's job primarily is just to go and observe, and they're not to necessarily watch over this mayor. The Adventurers Guild has put in undercover agents to basically be there. So involved in the meetings, involved elsewhere. So far, none have been uncovered. And also, the other caveat, and a lot of discretion is required for this job, and that is because of two reasons. The first reason is this is not actually the mayor. This guy is an undercover agent who's just standing in. Because if he is attacked, he can easily defend himself when a normal commoner probably wouldn't be able to. And with the extra guards in different locations, as far as these undercover agents go, they can help defend them. So the party is aware of that this guy is just kind of a fill-in, not the actual mayor. However, they need to play it off as if he's the actual mayor, because it has been observed that the shifters can read thoughts. They can somehow enter into the minds of others and be able to know what they're thinking. Maybe it's just surface level, or maybe it's deeper. No one knows at this time. So this particular session, I've already done a majority of the prep. Which is different. It's different than what we've been doing. But it's just because I had some time, and also some thoughts that were just running that I wanted to write down. So that's the reminder. The reminder is as far as how we're setting this up. We're using a modified but inspired by version of the Sly Flourish Lazy DM prep setup. So we've got our party, we've got some reminders that we just want to make sure that we've that we know, which is basically what this mission is. We got our strong start. Not really strong today, but it's our start. We've got some different scenes that we've laid out, and secrets and clues, so things that they might learn along the way. I've also written out the members of the caravan, which is something we prepared for the first part of this. This is Mayoral Escort Part 4. So this is the fourth and potentially final episode of this miniseries. We've also got our locations and connections of things that, as far as like cities, as well as people and factions that they're a part of, and that sort of thing. The start is basically they're going to be waking up in Golden Grove. They just spent the night in Golden Grove. In there, they found a glass dome in the woods, and the glass dome was an old structure from the previous society, and that structure seemed to house some kind of group that was documenting all of the births and deaths that occurred on the continent. And they are all dead now. However, there were skeletons that seemingly were animated, and those animated skeletons were handling it. So they were still doing that. That could be useful, or it could have been useful for the Records Guild to have access to all that kind of information and have it continue. Unfortunately, this party got into a scuffle with the skeletons, and all the skeletons are dead now. So no one's doing it. Well, that was last session. So this session, they're going to be leaving Golden Grove and heading up the road to Hillview Stop, which it's a small place. There's going to be 2 buildings there, which is your inn, So your tavern and inn, as well as a stable that's kind of attached. So it's just a stop in the road. It's not an actual hamlet or village or anything like that. Just a husband and wife own a tavern there, just because it's a convenient spot to stop for the night. It's a safe place to stop. There's a few other people there that work, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's mainly Halevi and Theobald that live there. And then they'll be heading to Pumpkin Town, and hopefully we'll make it to Whitmore. Just kind of depends on how long everything takes to do. But again, their job is to observe and potentially interact, low-key interrogate other members of the caravan. And we've got a few people. We've got Jabal Welber, who is a male gnome. He was interacted with the first day, and really up until the glass dome scene. He actually went with them, but he seemed to be a druid of sorts. Hasn't been determined or said out loud that he's a member of anything in particular, but yeah, he's starting to build a relationship with Wisp, who is also a druid, and we'll play into personal motivations for Wisp in this session, hopefully. The other group is the Brazic clan. They're a family of dwarves, and they have a motivation of why they are traveling. It is to head to Iron Hope Post. So we've got an older father and mother. We've got a middle-aged son and his wife and daughter. And they are heading to Iron Hope Post, which is a new mining establishment that's been set up, or at least started. There is a job opportunity for a group, hopefully soon, that will go and clean it out. So it's been scouted, it's been found as far as like a cave opening. But yes, there's resources there, readily available iron. Iron deposits have been seen on the surface, and they would like to enter into the cave. However, there's been wolf sightings there, or at least signs that wolves exist. And so they want an adventuring party to go in and clean it out. But that's another session in the future, hopefully. But we've got the Brazic clan. That's their motivation. They're going to head out to Iron Hope Post to work the mines. We've also got us a couple of merchants that most likely are all heading to Crystal Head. So we've got a general goods dealer in Deepak, who is a male human. We have Mohana, who is a Cooper wheelwright, female human. We've got Raj, who is a male human, and he doesn't really have a role yet. It's likely he's going to be involved in the actual mining operation, helping it get set up or investing in some fashion. Veloptima, a female gnome. She is a baker. And we also have Zook, who is a male gnome and is a tinkerer. Now, all of that so far has not been said in the sessions yet. They are aware of Veloptima, but only because she brought bread with her, so they could smell the fresh bread that was made the day before the morning of when they initially left Hovestad. But they haven't interacted or really observed the merchants yet, unfortunately. But I think this session is going to be almost entirely social encounters. I'm not preparing for any combat encounters this session. It's primarily going to be it's going to be heavy on the role play. I think that's going to be my main focus. But when I had set this up, we didn't really get on Mayoral Escort Part 1. They just started the journey at the tail end. So where we left off was that they just started to head out. It wasn't until the second session where they reached Golden Grove and they had the initial opportunity to start observing, start interacting. So that's when Wisp met up with Jabble. That's when they smelled the bread. But it seemed like the heavier focus for Calgrim and Vels was to interact with this new mayor guy. So passively perceiving other things that are going on. Once we got into Golden Grove, they didn't really look around or kind of keep track of stuff. They are aware that the merchant group has kind of stuck together. So when they're at the tavern in Golden Grove, all of the merchants kind of hung out at the same set of tables, and they are being followed or not followed. They are traveling with two very obviously heavies, like they're just there for protection kind of thing. And so they were aware that the two heavies were eyeing Calgrim and Vels while they're at the tavern, but it didn't lead to anything. So I think this session, I have to be a bit more heavy-handed to get them to interact. I think I'm going to make it a bit more obvious of what everyone is doing as far as the other members of the caravan. So I don't necessarily want them to interact, or for the story, it doesn't require them to interact with the Hovasad Guild members. They can definitely do so, but not as necessary. And I should also preface this by saying there's two goals that I have for this set of sessions, this whole mini series, and that is I'm using it as lore building and setting building, I guess. Well, I mean, okay, well, that's the entire goal. I mean, realistically, but I want them to be aware of the different things that are going on, that life is happening on the continent. But yeah, obviously, I want them to also be aware that Red Knives are involved in the caravan in some capacity. So, Veloptima, who is our baker merchant, I'm going to have her buy wheat from Golden Grove. So Golden Grove is known for their wheat fields. Again, some of it's wild wheat, others that they have other sections of fields they have planted. Again, probably from those seeds of the wild wheat. But yeah, so I'm gonna have her buying wheat, and so maybe when we're loading up the wagon in the morning, before they head out, they'll notice that they have loaded up wheat. But I also during the trip, I want it to be observed, or at least observable, that she is going to be in the front seat of her wagon, and Zook will be driving, and she's going to be grinding the wheat down into flour. But she's not going to be doing it by normal methods. Zook is an artificer, or a tinkerer, I guess. He's a tinkerer. So he has built a tool for her to use that makes the process a lot easier. Yeah, just a small machine that she will be handling. Maybe not handheld. Maybe it requires like being connected to the front of the wagon as they travel to use, but it will be doing all the grinding for them. Or maybe it's a thing where like it's attached, and maybe it has like a bowl like underneath it, and then it's like a grinder of sorts. But I want them to see that. I want them to see that again, to potentially stir a conversation, cause a conversation to happen of what they're doing, why they're doing it. Veloptima and Zook, they are the ones that hired the two brutes, the two heavies. And during that, or later on, but they are they are the members of the Red Knives. So I want it to be aware. I want them to have the opportunity to be made aware that they are the members of the Red Knives that are there. So tattoos, maybe on wrist or maybe on neck or somewhere. The other thing is I want Wisp to continue to talk to Jabble. So I probably will have Jabble approach her to strike a conversation, because I want them to get into her backstory, her personal motivation. So her personal motivation, her family was related to the Feywild. So there were gateways on the continent, or at least one that she's aware of, and her family was in charge of protecting it, or at least watching it. So anyone who came through, they just monitored. But they wanted to stop anyone from entering in unwittingly, right? So, but it's been closed, and it's been closed for about 10 years. Jabble is also interested in the Feywild gateways and the concept that they've been closed. He is going to be aware that there is at least one other that's out there, and that is down in this area of the map. So if you listen on the podcast, I'm pointing down to Grimhead Marsh, but yeah, just north of Grimhead Marsh, in the hills, somewhere around there was another rift, and he knows that down there is the home of some native furbolgs. So we have another adventurer named Clover, and she's a furbolg, and this is the area that she came from. So yeah, she's aware that there was another gateway, and it had also been closed. So what Jabble has already said is that he's familiar with Wisp's family. It was very vague and cryptic, but that is what he said. He said that he thinks he knew her family. So I'm going to dive into that a bit more with Jabble to kind of show what he knows. Now, again, to be a bit more heavy-handed and try to force some of these conversations to happen. I don't know if I'm going to have all of the I don't necessarily want the NPCs to approach the party. I want to make it seem like a good idea for the party to interact and observe and that sort of thing. But when we were on our first leg of the journey, Vels and Calgrim, they stayed with the wagon. And I think I'm gonna do two things. So one, probably for the first leg, either from Golden Grove to Hillview Stop, or from Hillview Stop to Pumpkin Town, I am gonna have Gardane leave and go talk with the dwarves, because Gardane Strongheart is a dwarf. I don't know if I said this before. Gardane Strongheart is the selected mayor. So I'm going to have him go talk to the dwarves. So maybe that will inspire Calgrim to go as well, or Vels, or maybe just have them, observe from their seats on the wagon. The other thing is I'm going to have Gardane take over the reins at some point and kind of kick Calgrim off the wagon, because currently Calgrim is the one driving, and say, he's taken over. A young man like Calgrim shouldn't be sitting all day, should be walking, getting exercise. So he'll probably kick Calgrim off, and we'll see what Calgrim does with that. Again, I don't know if it's going to happen in between Golden Grove and Hillview Stop, or Hillview Stop and Pumpkin Town, but at some point, those two things are going to occur. Once we get to Hillview Stop, this one is just going to be an overnight rest. So they're stopping there at the night. They'll probably get there about 8 o'clock, have drinks and dinner, and then head to bed, and then out in the morning. But we're going to introduce another group to the caravan at Hillview Stop. Back in the first session, so episode 1, which was the Watchtower, that occurred down in Wycliffe, which is on the eastern the eastern side, so in the eastern region. And it was the unorthodox group that that took that mission. They found squatters that had taken over an old, decommissioned, abandoned watchtower. When they went there, they interacted with the group that was squatting there, and they were actually bullywogs. We're going to reintroduce those guys, and we're going to have them traveling to Pumpkin Town. And we're going to set it up so that they were already in Pumpkin Town, but are back in Hillview Stop. But the primary reason we're using them is because when the party had investigated, the first room that they entered in had a bunch of crates, and they opened up the crates, and in those crates were colorful tarps. And the point of it was it was leading to a future Halloween one-shot. I didn't know what I was going to run yet, but yeah, they are a traveling circus. It was never stated, just because we never got to it. But we're going to reintroduce that group over in Pumpkin Town, and the reason is because we're going to open up our timeline. So I've got like a little timeline here, and I've shifted this timeline to try and match real life time. I think when we were initially talking, the first few episodes, if I said a season, I probably said spring, early summer. But we're going to shift that to be a bit more in line with real life. So we're using the Harptos calendar, but I've got it mapped out that every session so far has been in flame roll, except for we've got this session, the Mayoral Escort, as well as all future stuff is going to be in Elysis, which is basically autumn. But there's going to be on a late 20 is the autumn equinox. We also have High Harvestide, but there's going to be a festival in Pumpkin Town, and that festival is going to be run. It's going to be a one-shot. It's going to be a Halloween-themed one-shot, but it's going to be DM'd by one of our Patreons. Bart has stepped up and wanted to run a one-shot here. So that is probably still a month away at this point, but we want to foreshadow it. So they are going to find these bullywogs here at Hillview Stop, having a meal and talking with the bar owner. Yeah, they are basically they're there for two reasons. One, Pumpkin Town is where the festival is going to be. They were made aware of the festival somehow, probably Hovestad Gazette, because that has said it. But they'll also have some other reasons for being there. But again, that's probably Bart's territory, not mine. I have no idea. I actually might be a player for that session, but we'll see. So anyways, but they're in Pumpkin Town for the festival. They're in Hillview Stop though, because another thing that I had added to Hillview Stop was a small vineyard. So there's no shop for it. It's just run by the family that owns the tavern and stables, and they basically also are setting up this vineyard to produce wine, obviously, for their tavern. But the bullywogs, one of the other things that was found besides the crate full of tarps, the colorful tarps and everything, was also barrels of wine. And so they're going to be trying to invest into this wine production. They're going to provide some seeds. And the other thing is the bullywogs are Fey-based, so they are going to be attached to the Fey-Wild Gateway story arc. But yeah, they're here to invest. So the primary goal for this group is just to foreshadow the one shot that Bart's going to do. But there's going to be a second piece of that once we get into Pumpkin Town. So it'd be great if they interact, but as long as they observe and maybe listen to some of that conversation, they'll know the general gist of what's going on. But then The Bullywogs are going to join. They are going to join the caravan to head back to Pumpkin Town. And in Pumpkin Town, again, it's going to be the same setup that we had for Golden Grove, where they're going to get there about noon, so halfway through the day. They'll have a half day of downtime while the mayor is having his meetings to do whatever. So hopefully again, they get involved in something. So interacting with the caravan, at least observing the caravan. Pumpkin Town, we have built some more of the lore, and it was built on a ruin. And so in the center of town, we're gonna have like a 40 by 40 circular ruined structure. But in the center is what is going to be seen as an old teleportation circle. The purpose of it, again, is to build into the one shot that Bart's going to do, because the one shot might have people from anywhere. So it might have Unorthodox members who are currently down in Sedund, and so we're going to need to figure out an easy way to bring those players into Pumpkin Town and then send them back to wherever they came from. So that's just a plot device to make it easier to transport people over here. It's not being used as a teleportation circle. It's just kind of sitting there in the center of town. Kids are playing on it. It's just a nice focal point. That's what they'll learn about it. The caravan, our baker once again is going to be buying some pumpkins to be used in her bakery. Deepak and Mohana, they'll probably be going into the trading post in Pumpkin Town to probably negotiate or pick brains of other trading post owners, or at least network. Maybe we'll have Mohana also working on a cart, so isolated. So if the party wants to walk up to her while she's isolated, they'll see, she's a wheelwright. Once we get into Pumpkin Town, that's where Jabble is going to separate. So Jabble is going to let Wisp know that hopefully by that point, they've already had the conversation that we talked about before. But he's going to separate. He's going to head south into over the hills, into the woods, to investigate the other rift, the other gateway. See if he can find it and try to figure out what's wrong and what caused it to close, that sort of thing. So he will be hoping to meet up with Wisp again to talk about what he found, what they can do together, that sort of thing. And we'll probably put like a 10-day type scenario on it. Like, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to look, I should be back in 10 days. They will also see the Bullywogs with their wagons, maybe setting up a tent, a circus tent of sorts, or at least passing out flyers or passing out dolls or something. Interacting with the children to get the children excited for a circus or something. Again, that was my initial intention. I got to coordinate with Bart to get some details on what he's doing, so I know how to foreshadow it. But that'll happen in the next few days, hopefully. And really, I think that's it. I think we've covered everything that I want them to interact with. Again, we're going to be using this session and the rest of this journey to just build up stories, build up things going on, show that life is happening. Hopefully, create some contacts with everyone. So Wisp, more with Jabble. I'd love Calgrim to get involved with the family at the Brazic family who are going to Iron Hope Post, because that would lead to a job that they could take. But if he does get involved, they will be aware of his family, and they probably worked at the same mines or in the same area, so would be aware. They'd be aware of Calgrim's family, current situation, current status of the mines out there, and all the lore that we're trying to build with that side of things. And as far as the shifters story, I'm leaning towards there being no shifters. But again, it depends on what happens. It depends on what's being said. It's possible I might say something that might spur their accusations or impressions that someone is a shifter, and so we might use that. Again, it's all going to be improv. So if there's a point in some of that where we can insert a shifter and it makes sense, then and we will do so. But for all intents and purposes, right now, I don't think we'll have a shifter here. That's it. I really don't have anything else. After Pumpkin Town, they leave. It's gonna be a quick journey. Nothing really is gonna go on. At least set. Again, we'll improv anything that needs to be improved. But they're gonna arrive into Whitmore. They're gonna drop off the mayor. He's gonna handle his business in City Hall there, in the regional Senate Hall, and yeah, that's it. But all right, yeah, I think that takes care of everything. That is Mayoral Escort Part 4. Again, we normally record these DM prep sessions within an hour and a half or so of the actual session. My schedule won't allow it this week, so we're doing this a few days before. But this is going to go live after the session goes live, or after the live stream, that is. But there will be a link in the description here if you're catching this first, so that you can view it and see how we did. See if everything happened that I wanted to happen. See if everything was said that needed to be said, or if things completely broke. I don't know. We'll find out. You can find more information about what we're doing at amightybeard.com. And if you enjoy this, you want to see more of this, as well as the live streams, anything else that we're doing, head on over to patreon.com/amightybeard so you can support us. I'm a bearded friend to date. That's it. My name's Mighty Beard, and we will play D&D together again very soon. Later.